Prepare to be captivated as we uncover 3 genuine and spine-tingling mysteries that will leave you with goosebumps. Our first chilling true story transports us to the dark depths of the Paris Catacombs, hidden beneath the bustling streets of Paris. Following that, we'll unravel the lost hiker of Blackpine Forest. And last but not least, get ready for the unsettling call. A phone call conversation, originating from an otherworldly source, will challenge your perception of reality.
The dark depths of the Paris Catacombs. My name is Marc, and I'm a bit of a history nerd. That's probably why, when my friends suggested a trip to the Paris Catacombs, I couldn't resist. These subterranean tunnels beneath the streets of Paris have fascinated me for years. Originally limestone quarries, they were transformed into ossuaries in the 18th century to solve the problem of overflowing cemeteries. Today, the place is home to the remains of over 6 million people. It's a labyrinth of bones and history, right up my alley. We arrived in Paris and did all the touristy stuff. Finally, the day came for us to descend into the catacombs. We chose a guided tour for the official parts, but I wanted more. I had heard rumors of secret chambers and rooms that were off limits to tourists, illegal to access, but irresistible for the daring. That evening, armed with flashlights and maps, a few of us snuck back to the catacombs. It started off incredibly. The thrill of treading where few had ventured was intoxicating. Miles and miles of narrow passageways opened up before us, some filled with stacks of skulls and femurs, others just dark voids. The atmosphere was thick, almost suffocating, yet exhilarating. We reached a point where the path diverged. One way led back towards the main tunnels, the other deeper into the unknown. My friends hesitated. I should have too, but my curiosity got the better of me. "I'll go on for just a few minutes and then turn back," I assured them. I took the path leading deeper. It became narrower, forcing me to crawl in some places. Minutes passed, or was it hours? My flashlight flickered, but I was too mesmerized by what lay before me to care. A chamber I hadn't read about, filled with inscriptions and markings that dated back centuries. My flashlight flickered one final time and then died. I was plunged into darkness. Panic surged through me. My phone. I fumbled in my pocket and switched on its flashlight. It was then I heard it, a sound that still haunts me. Footsteps echoing in the distance, coming closer. I turned and began to crawl as fast as I could, heart pounding. The footsteps grew louder. I finally broke into a run when the tunnel widened. My phone buzzed. It was dying. Just as the light went out, I saw the faint glow of the main tunnel ahead. I sprinted, lungs burning, and burst into the main tunnel, startling a group of late-night explorers. I didn't look back, didn't stop running until I reached the surface. I never found out who or what was in the tunnels with me. But I did learn that a man had gone missing in the catacombs years ago. They found his camera footage, but never found him. Today, I stay far away from closed-off tunnels and stick to well-lit, well-traveled paths. I'll never forget the terror of being lost in the Paris catacombs, the feeling of being hunted in a maze of death. And to this day, I always carry a fully charged flashlight.
The lost hiker of Blackpine Forest. My name's Liam. As an avid hiker, I've treaded many trails and forests throughout the country. But there's one particular hiking experience I'll never forget, and it didn't involve the grandeur of nature, but rather its unforgiving mysteries. Blackpine Forest was on my bucket list. Known for its thick woods and unpredictable terrains, it was a challenge even for seasoned hikers. Despite warnings about staying on the marked paths, I always had a little confidence, or perhaps arrogance, in my sense of direction. One summer morning, with the sun piercing through the dense foliage, I ventured into the forest. It was breathtaking. Hours in, I decided to go off-trail, thinking I could handle a little adventure. The sun started descending quicker than I'd anticipated, casting long, eerie shadows. As dusk approached, I realized I'd lost my way. Trying not to panic, I tried to retrace my steps. That's when I stumbled upon a clearing with an old campsite. Burnt-out logs surrounded a makeshift fire pit. But what caught my attention were scattered belongings: a rusty tin cup, an old-fashioned lantern, and an open, tattered journal. The last entry, dated from the 1970s, read, "It's been days. I keep hearing my name being called from deep within the woods, but no one's there when I search. Supplies running out. I fear I won't make it out." A chill ran down my spine. The silence around was oppressive, but then, unmistakably, I heard a faint whisper. My name. Liam. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, just a soft echo floating on the wind. Panic settled in. I grabbed the lantern, praying it would work. To my surprise, it did, giving off a feeble, flickering light. Determined, I chose a direction and started walking briskly. The whispers persisted, growing louder and more frequent. I tried to convince myself it was just the wind playing tricks, but it sounded so human, so deliberate. Hours felt like days, and fatigue took hold. Just when I was about to give in to despair, I saw a distant light. Drawing closer, I recognized it as the torches that marked the forest's main trail. I've never felt such relief in my life. Emerging from the forest, I recounted my ordeal to the local ranger. He listened quietly, his expression growing graver with each word. Once I'd finished, he told me I wasn't the first to hear those whispers, and many believed the forest to be haunted by the souls of lost hikers. I left Blackpine Forest with a newfound respect for nature's untamed places, and a lingering unease that has yet to fade. I still hike, but I stick to the trails now. And every so often, on a quiet evening, I swear I can hear that faint whisper carried on the wind, calling my name.
The unsettling call. My name is Isabel, and I've always been a rather pragmatic person. I never believed in the supernatural or the inexplicable until that one winter night when I was working late at my office. I had taken a job at a tech firm located in a renovated historical building. The place retained its old-world charm with its large wooden doors, vintage elevators, and long, dimly lit corridors. I'd often heard coworkers share tales about the building being haunted, but I laughed them off as office lore. That night, I was the last one in the office. As I wrapped up my work, I received a call on the office landline. Glancing at the caller ID, I froze. The call was coming from an extension within the building, the old, now unused basement level which housed archives and discarded equipment. Swallowing hard, I answered, "Hello?" At first there was only silence, then a faint crackling. A soft, trembling voice, unmistakably old and weary, whispered, "Is anyone there? Please help me." Stunned, I tried to respond, but the line went dead. Every logical bone in my body told me it was just a prank or a technical glitch. Yet curiosity got the better of me. Armed with my phone's flashlight, I decided to investigate the basement. The elevator creaked and groaned as it descended. As the door slid open, a cold draft hit me, and I shone my light around. Dusty shelves filled with old files, cobwebs, and silence greeted me. Then I heard it, a soft sobbing from a distant corner. My heart raced, but I moved towards the sound. Rounding a shelf, my light fell upon an old telephone, its cord cut, gathering dust. The sobbing seemed to emanate from it. Confused and more than a little scared, I hurried back upstairs and locked up the office. As I later learned from a janitor, many decades ago, before the building was renovated, there was a tragic accident. An employee had been trapped in the basement during a fire. With no cell phones and the only phone line severed, she couldn't call for help and perished in the flames. Whether it was her spirit reaching out or just an eerie coincidence, I'll never know. But I do know that after that night, I never dismissed any stories about the unexplained.